Hey everyone, I'm Chase Elleby. This is Joel Williams, and we are coming to you today with week number 47 in our series of 52 weeks of personal injury. And today, if you watched our last video, we kind of teased it, but we're going to be talking about liens. Lean on me. All right, that's all I'm going to do.
Oh, come on, man.
So we're going to talk about hospital liens, health insurance liens, and provider liens. So let's start with hospital liens. Joel, what are hospital liens?
All right, so we're kind of circling back in the state specific here. For the state of Georgia, I'm sure other states have liens that hospitals can file to, but there is a specific statute in the state of Georgia that allows a hospital or a medical provider to file a lien on your personal injury claim if they treat you. There's certain steps and time frames that they have to adhere to, but they will do this because, say, you go to the emergency room and your bill is a total of 20 grand. Well, if you have health insurance and they bill your health insurance may pay them half that, if that, So Georgia law actually allows the hospital to file a lien on your case, not on your house or any other assets, but they can put that entire $20,000 bill on your case through that lien, and then you'd be required to pay that back out of the proceeds of any recovery you get from a personal injury case. There are ways to fight it, but the law is pretty strong, so as long as those bills are reasonable, that the lien is associated with, then you're likely going to have to pay it back. So the important thing to remember here is, if you're thinking, well, I didn't have any out-of-pocket expenses, there's just, the hospital just sent me this letter and said, oh, we might put a lien on your case, and you've never heard from them again. You might want to double think that, because if you take $10,000 from the insurance company, but you've got a $20,000 hospital lien on your case, well, you're either going to have to give all that $10,000 to the hospital, or you're going to have to risk a lawsuit from the hospital to make you give them that $10,000.
Right, and exactly. I think it's important to know too that the hospitals can, at least in Georgia, and this is going to be pretty, like Joel said, pretty specific to the state of Georgia, but even if you have health insurance, hospitals don't have to bill that health insurance, and they're almost always, if they know, are almost always going to file a lien. And the statute says you have to be pretty specific about what the hospitals need to do in order to perfect that lien. So kind of going back to what you were saying, if you haven't paid for the hospital or anything like that, well, if you get a letter in the mail from the hospital saying, lien notice, or you actually get a copy of the lien, because the hospital has to file the lien in the county where you live and the county where the treatment was provided. So if you get anything like that, certainly if you have a lawyer, certainly let them know, because that's something that has to be paid back from any settlement. So the next sort of lien that we see on healthcare or medical treatment is through health insurance. This is a very meaty topic, especially in the state of Georgia, so I'm going to try to be pretty surface level with it. Long story short, if your health insurance provider is what's called a self-funded ERISA plan, meaning it's a large company that actually pays for the treatment, not just pays for your or monthly premiums and things like that, but if the company actually pays for your treatment, then federal law determines whether or not that health insurance company is entitled to be reimbursed from any personal injury settlement. If it's not a self-funded plan, so if it's just a plan in the state of Georgia that's not funded by the company, the health insurance plan has to prove that you have been made whole by any settlement or any judgment in order to get their money back from any health benefits that they provided to you, right? So practically, what does that look like? Let's say in Joel's example, you go to the hospital doesn't file a lien, but instead they bill your health insurance, okay? Well, the hospital might have a contract with Blue Cross where they pay $3,000 of that $10,000 hospital bill. Well, Blue Cross could then come back to Joel and say, hey, Joel, we understand you were in a wreck. If you get a recovery from the at-fault insurance company, we need to get our $3,000 back because that's what we paid the hospital. Well, unless that plan is a self-funded ERISA plan, then they only get that money back if they can prove you've been made whole. Again, that is a very meaty topic and subject. Long story short, it's something that needs to be considered in any personal injury case, especially in Georgia, and that's whether or not that healthcare provider has to be reimbursed from any settlement you get. So.
Yeah. And one thing real quick is when Chase says made whole, basically what that means is that you've been fully and completely compensated for all of your economic and non-economic damages, meaning all your bills have been paid, you've got back all your lost wages, and you've been fully compensated for all the pain and suffering and mental anguish that you've gone through.
Right, and I will add too that I was talking specifically about private health insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. Those are treated completely different. They have an automatic right to get their money back, and that's handled a little bit differently. But those also too will have to be addressed. So.
Yep. And we should probably go over those specifically in a different video, because those laws are very different and they have very specific rights of reimbursement. The other one I would say, as far as liens go, are private provider claims. So, for example, you may not have health insurance and you may have a hard time finding a medical provider that will treat you, just by you paying out of pocket or you paying whatever their cash pay amount is. But sometimes you can find a provider that will treat you on a lien basis, meaning that provider will do your physical therapy or do chiropractic adjustments or even do surgery sometimes if you need it. And then they'll hold that bill in exchange for you agreeing to pay them back out of the proceeds of any settlement. So that's a lien situation where you voluntarily agree to it. The previous two examples, you don't necessarily agree to it. It's just something the law allows to happen.
Right.
But like Chase said, in any situation, whether it's a lien you agree to or whether it's a lien that is forced upon your claim for things beyond your control, they do need to be addressed when you get ready to settle your case, because the last thing you want to do is settle your case and not pay back, or at least negotiate down and satisfy any liens that may be out there.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So, all right, well, that wraps it up for week number 47. And next week, we will begin the last month of our 52 weeks of personal injury with week number 48, which will be out in December. Can you believe it?
It's crazy.
All right, well, if this video...
It's sad to see it come to an end so quickly.
Yeah, so. I'm sure some people are. I'm sure some people aren't. But if this video has been helpful to you, we'd appreciate you giving us a thumbs up or subscribing to our channel. We sure would appreciate that. Otherwise, we will see you next week for video number 48.